morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. Back with us, and of course a big weekend, a beautiful weekend this past weekend. And you did something that I don't know if it's ever been. I'm sure there's been some writers out at the university that have done some stuff over the years, but ladies and gentlemen, I just thought I was a writer at one time until I met Bill Rice. Tell us about what happened to you this weekend.
Well, the reason I missed a couple shows is I had a deadline for a big story I wrote for the American Conservative magazine on the Jeopardy champ, James Holzhauser, and the way that he is setting all these records on that game show. He's kind of become a cultural phenomenon. I had an original take on this, I think, and I wrote a story, and the American Conservative published it, and then Zero Hedge, which is a huge site, picked it up, and then Real Clear Markets picked it up, and it's between those three sites, it's got over 100,000 people have read that one story.
Man, hey, listen, we've got another Mark Twain, ladies and gentlemen.
I picked up on a topic that was timely. Yeah, but so you can go to I think it's still on the site. It was posted last Thursday or Friday on the American Conservative, and just Google American Conservative, Jeopardy, James Holzhauser, or my name, Bill Rice, and the story will pop up if you're interested in reading it.
All right, tell us about this. Is he still going?
That's why I had to rush, because he starts back today.
What time was that? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. This is the Jeopardy, and of course, Jeopardy's had people to do well, but nobody's ever. Has he been better than anybody that's ever been there?
Well, you can ask me any question about this guy now, and I'm going to know it.
I can't wait. This is going to be a great
show.
To
answer your question.
What's his name?
His name is James Holzhauser. He's averaging $77,000 in winnings per show. Nobody's come close to that. The average Jeopardy player wins $20,000 per show. Ken Jennings, which a lot of people will remember, won 74 shows in a row in 2004.
How much money did he win?
$2.5 million over 74 shows. Yeah. James has won $1.69 million in 22 shows.
1.69 in 22 shows. And what did the other guy do?
He did 2.5.
What is James' last name?
Holzhauser.
Holzhauser.
You got to spell that a lot of times before you memorize it.
Okay, and then the guy before that was real good.
Well, there was a guy, the all-time single game record for Jeopardy winnings was 77,000. James has beaten that record in 22 appearances 12 times. So this one guy owns the top 12 record. He is averaging what used to be the all-time record. Here's my analogy, Mike. My second story I'm working on is sports sidebars and analogies to what this guy's done. You remember when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is what James Holzhauser is doing. It's not like he scored 100 points in one game. It's like he's averaging 100 points for an entire season.
Isn't that amazing?
That's how much better he's done.
Now, the guy that won the total amount of money, you said this guy's already won $1.69 million. And before. Good morning, you're on Today in LA. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Mike, Bill Rice Jr. is back on the show.
Hey, Michael.
And we're talking about the Jeopardy, and he wrote
Go to the American Conservative website, and you'll see my story that I wrote on this Jeopardy sensation.
Yeah, is that still, how much money has he won so far?
$1.7 million, if you want to round up, in 22 games.
In 22 games.
Ken Jennings is the all-time winner, is that right?
That's right. He won $2.5 million in 75 games. So anyway, James is averaging $44,000 more per game than Ken did.
Well, let me ask you this. This guy's got to be brilliant, but at the same time, are these questions easy or?
Well, that's the point of my story. It's not, yes, he's brilliant, but all the best players of Jeopardy are, just to get on Jeopardy, you've got to be a trivia whiz. The reason he's winning all this money is the way his strategy of playing the game and how he wagers is nobody's ever done it like. He's a complete outlier. It's like an analogy I used somewhere. Once upon a time, everybody did the forward hurdle and high jumping, right?
That's
then
right.
a guy named Dick Fosbury came along.
The Fosbury flop.
Did it backwards.
That's right.
And now everybody does.
The Fosbury flop.
Once upon a time, everybody kicked
Exactly.
field goals.
The Russian guy one time. Now one time they scissored.
Yeah.
That was just standing up and scissoring, put one leg over, then the other leg. That was a scissor. Yeah. Then they rolled.
That's right.
And that was the guy from Russia that was so good. He rolled and then this guy named Fosbury, who didn't look like near the athlete, learned how to flop by taking his head over first and then kicking the other part of his leg.
And I'm going to tell you another example I came up with of people that changed the game literally by developing new techniques.
Yeah.
That's what the theme of my story is. A guy named Pete Golagak, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, was the first soccer-style kicker in college.
Pete Gogolak, I remember him.
In the mid-'60s. Before then, everybody kicked field goals straight on. Now, who does that? Nobody.
Nobody. You're exactly right.
Any way to determine how many questions on Jeopardy have been asked on other shows before? I mean, is that something that happens regularly, or is that something that not to ever happen?
You know, they say that a lot of the questions you hear are repeated over the years, and these best players like James has studied every aspect of this game. So he's probably watched countless archived Jeopardy shows, and that's one way. That's one component. His trivia knowledge is amazing. But the way he really wins is where everybody else bets $2,000 on these daily wagers.
Yeah.
He bets everything he has.
Oh man.
So he'll
bet.
He's
got a gambler's mindset. He's all in.
Yeah,
but it's fascinating why he's doing this, because he knows that he's got a 90% probability of answering the question right. Given that, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Bet? And so my question I pose in my story is, why after 55 years and 25,000 contestants had nobody played the game like this guy?
That's right.
Why had nobody come up with a Fosbury flop? Why had nobody kicked soccer style?
Yeah. The first soccer style kicker I've ever saw around here was your neighbor, Dwayne Webb.
You're kidding.
Dwayne Webb was the first soccer style kicker in Troy.
I didn't know that.
And you know what? He didn't even play soccer. But he learned how to kick soccer style, and Dwayne Webb was did you know he was a real good kicker?
No,
And he kicked soccer style, the first one I've ever seen in Troy.
Well,
wasn't Rick Barry famous for shooting free throws, granny style?
Well, I mentioned him too, Michael. That's great. Sometimes people do something different. It works brilliantly, and then people still don't follow it. And Rick Barry is the perfect example with his underhanded granny-style free throw, which he was fourth all-time in the career on free throw percentage, and yet nobody follows his example.
That's right. And now Wilt also did it.
1 year, they said.
Oh, did it just 1 year?
And
he couldn't shoot free throws. What if he could? How many points would he score?
I'm babbling on, but Wilt did it he was a 50% career free throw shooter, about like Shaq.
Yeah, that's right.
1 year he finally did the Rick Barry granny style technique. His percentage went up to 61%.
Yeah, that's right.
But he couldn't stand it, thought it looked stupid, and he abandoned it. So even though something allowed him to score a lot more points, he still discarded it.
Let's stay on this Jeopardy thing. Of course, the head man at Jeopardy has terminal cancer. Is that right?
That's right. He's got stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
How is he doing?
The big question on Jeopardy for me is, when is it live? Like, when can we watch this guy again? I still haven't been able to catch him.
Well, it's syndicated, Michael, so it's on at different times and different channels.
The ratings, though, have to be maybe the top ratings out there. Is that right?
Jennings in the last the ratings are surging. Now, this James Holzhauer is very controversial. A lot of people don't like somebody changing the way the game's played. He's received a large amount of criticism. I go in that in my column. Anybody that breaks the mold going back to Galileo and challenges conventional wisdom. A lot of people don't like it for some reason.
Oh, yeah. All right, now, the guy before, though, that won $2.5 million, excuse me.
Yeah, that's right. You got that.
We won $2.5 million. What was his name?
His name was Ken Jennings.
All right, now, this guy still hasn't done what Jennings
That's right.
done.
So that's why everybody's watching to see if he beats the 2.5.
How long was Jennings on the show? Do you remember?
75 shows.
75 shows without getting beat.
That's like Joe DiMaggio's record.
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
Now, I don't know if James can beat that record. Might be unbeatable. Well, he lost on the 75th show. So we got James that's at 22. Can he win 50 more? I don't know. But can he catch him in the money? Yeah. At the rate he's going, he's going to catch him on the money in about 10 more shows.
And ladies and gentlemen, what Bill's talking about, too, is that this guy here, James, the guy that's on the show now, starts from the top.
No, he starts at the bottom.
I mean, the bottom, like if it's 800.
Or 1,000, he goes straight to the 1,000.
And that's legal to do that.
Joe explained why a few people have kind of done it. But
are the questions harder when you go to the...
Supposed to be, but they're not that much harder. But yes, he goes straight. Everybody else starts at the $200 question. He goes straight to the $1,000 question, and then he goes sideways. He runs the categories 1,000, and he builds up his pot. And then when he gets a daily double, then he goes looking for the daily doubles. He doesn't want to find them early. He wants to find those daily doubles when he has a lot of chips in front. And then he goes all in. So if he has $8,000, he says, I'm betting $8,000.
He must be a wealthy guy to just throw all that in, like that.
But he's also figured out this ain't his money. He's playing with Jeopardy's money. It's his house money.
Yeah.
So and then the few times he missed one $8,400 bet all in, went back to zero. But
how did he do? But he came back and won the show though. So he's been beaten a few times. Is that right?
No, he hadn't been beaten.
I know, but what I'm saying. He's failed to answer the correct question several times. Is that right?
4 times he missed in the daily double in the first round and went back to zero. So his opponents had a pretty good lead on him. But he's so good on that buzzer and answering questions that, you look up 2 minutes later and he's caught them again.
But it doesn't sound like it would be fair to the other people because they probably don't understand how you can play that way. Is that right?
It's like somebody suddenly starts playing a hurry-up spread offense in football or a full-court press, running gun, right. Loyola Marymount, Troy University basketball style. Unless you've practiced it, you can't prepare for it. And
if ladies and gentlemen, the question was asked, what college basketball team scored more points in one official game than any team in history? The answer would be Troy State University.
And that record has stood for 27 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that right? I think they said it in 1992.
I don't see that record ever being broken.
No,
I'm going to write a column about that.
You need to.
Somebody.
Hey, you need to.
The closest ever before that was like Loyola Marymount was like in the 180s, weren't they?
Yeah, 189. Right. The year before they scored 189.
And they had.
And let me tell you, the whole key to that was they made 52 three-pointers out of 106.
I think it's 58.
The whole key to that is the other team was in on it because they had scored that many points the year before, so everybody knew they were going to score a lot of points. It was just a matter of how many could you possibly score. There was no defense whatsoever played in that game.
Troy, I was at that game and wrote about it, and that's the criticism, and it's true. It was like the other team was not playing any defense. But you still playing against air. You've got to hit those. You've got to hit those 3-point shots.
Instead of taking the 2 to 3 footer.
You got to pull up. And Troy hit about 50% of their 3-pointers.
52. They made 52.
Both of the guards from Kentucky scored over 35 each.
Yes.
They did score. Yeah, they did score.
But if you're looking for an example of somebody that blows away a record by just amazing degrees, that Troy record of 258 points is right up there. I mean, it's like Secretariat winning Belmont by 31 lengths. I mean, just nobody had ever seen anything like that.
That's right.
Is that the Troy team that got beat in the national national championship game? That's one thing I always.
I'm thinking it is because they led the nation in scoring.
McCord was on that team.
Yeah, McCord scored a bunch, 40-some points in that game, I think, something like that.
And you know, they went to that. I've covered that in Springfield, Massachusetts. The final.
You got to go to that game.
Mm-hmm. Don Harry, I was working for the Troy Progress, and he sent me up there. Don.
And the night before, they played New Hampshire, or
and scored 144.
100. Well, I thought it was something like 121 to 119, something like that.
Well, I thought they scored 104.
But it was a huge, high-scoring game, and it ended about 10 o'clock at night. And Troy had to get up the next morning and play at 10 o'clock in the morning or something on
live on CBS, Cal State Bakersville.
That's right, Cal State Bakersville, and Troy hadn't even got they got their feet under them, and they lost to Cal State.
I was at a church basketball tournament, and the coach we played that morning. The coach said, "Will you be there for the game?" And I said, "No, Troy's playing for the national championship."
And you told him you wouldn't be there, and you weren't there. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, how many times can you watch a team play for the national championship instead of a church basketball game?
Especially your team, yeah, exactly right.
Troy's basketball team, that's the only time. I mean, they've been to the Final Four a couple times.
How about almost the choke of the century yesterday in the PGA Championship? Did y'all watch that?
Yeah, but now, it wouldn't have been a choke. It would just been that.
It wouldn't have been a choke. You're up by 7 strokes going into the final round?
Yeah, but let me tell you, now everybody was playing, but the winds were a lot tougher, the final day than they were during the week.
I know, but I mean, you can't lose a 7-stroke lead.
Yeah, well, he did.
All the way down to 1.
He did.
He righted the ship.
I tell you what, he's the king of golf and might be the king of golf for a long time. He doesn't look.
He was really good in the interviews afterwards. He's gotten a lot better on camera as far as talking and stuff like that too. You get to see his personality a little bit more.
Well, that last shot he hit to the green came up about 3 feet, maybe 4 feet. That was a pretty clutch shot right there. He could have blown everything.
Did you hear what Jim Nantz said at the end? That there's been 4 golfers in the history of golf who have done what he's just done, which is win 4 majors in less than 2 years. They are Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and I think Ben Hogan. So there might be.
Right.
So he's the 5th.
Right. Yeah.
And he just turned 29. So I mean, this kid. I mean, if Koepka stays healthy and keeps on the streak he's on right now, I mean, shoot, who's to say he won't be in double digits in majors before his career's over?
And he's the muscle man. Tiger and them started working out with weights, and and then a lot of the guys started working out weights, sort of getting their biceps up, to show the big old arms. And most of the shirts started being cut, like that. Even Mickelson went to that look.
Can I bring up a controversial question?
Sure.
Am I the only guy that thinks some of these golfers, are using steroids?
I mean, that was always an accusation about Tiger when he got so big, when he was winning so much. And a lot of people say that's the reason he has so many back issues and health issues.
Well, then
let's don't get into that. Let's don't get into that.
I'm not. Listen now. I want to be clear. I'm not saying they are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that thought has crossed my mind.
Yeah. But let me tell you this: they have started hitting the weight rooms, and a lot of people think that the reason Tiger, had those bad turns, last 2 or 3 years was because he was too bulky and. Didn't have his arms were too.
Well, he went from a string bean of 150 pounds to somebody that really looked like an all-pro NFL safety. I mean,
but you look at this guy, Koepka. I still can't pronounce his name, but
that's right, Koepka's his name. Yeah, they said Koepka yesterday benches 225 pounds 15 times. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he does that before he plays. And the guy is big and strong like nobody else. I mean, Hendrick Stinson's a big, imposing-looking guy, but you put Koepka next to him, he's just bigger and stronger than everybody now.
I mean, little Roy McIlroy's bulked up.
Yeah, he bulked up too. See, yeah.
So I think they're all. The article, if you get in super shape, it lets you practice longer, which gives you an advantage, and you can recover faster after walking 18 holes in the 90-degree heat. So,
well, and you're right.
Yeah, the biggest thing about it, though, is, everybody's doing it. I mean, even Spieth got stronger, Justin Thomas. I mean, they all got personal trainers, and they got so much
Spieth
money.
looks like a little boy. Hey, Mike, Spieth looks like a little boy compared to Kobe.
I know, but they all have gotten stronger over the years, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then your buddy that gave it a run at the end, God, he looks like an old cowboy. He is not an impressive guy to me.
I wish he'd shave that beard.
6'4" and is a great athlete. Dustin Johnson, I mean, he can I think do a 360 dunk on a basketball.
Oh, can he? He's the good old country boy. That's what he is to me, it looks like. And he's quite a player, of course.
You know who his father-in-law is?
Yeah. No, they're not married, are they, Michael? Are they?
They're right.
They've got 2 kids, but they're not married. That's his fiance.
Wayne Gretzky is the dad of his living girlfriend.
And you know what?
Yeah, she's a beautiful girl. He did well.
You look at all the great players in the world and what they do. Gretzky would go down as the greatest hockey player probably in history, wouldn't you say?
I was thinking of all my sports analogies to James, and I said, well, I bet there's some in hockey, but I don't know a darn thing about hockey.
Who would be that?
I mean, who else is a great hockey player? Gordie Howe?
Yeah, of course, there's been some great ones, but
Lemieux,
none of them like Gretzky, you know.
Yeah.
But, of course, we've got the the championships in hockey coming up, and I don't know, I just can't get into that. I don't know.
So how many football games did you call after last week? Did you call about 5?
Well, I saw this, Mike. Colquitt County, Georgia is the best high school football team I have ever seen.
Gosh, that's a strong statement.
Oh, I mean, they were so good. They could have scored 100 points on this team from Mississippi, Meridian, who is supposed to be one of the best teams in Mississippi. They could have scored 100 points if they hadn't cut it short and went to a running clock. But they dressed about 100 players, or maybe over 100 players, and every one of them were good. I mean, and of course, defensively, I mean, they just swarmed you. You know, I said, look how many helmets over there. Almost every time they'd make a tackle, it'd be 8 or 9 helmets on that one guy, you know.
Well, I'm going to have to look up this team.
But I and of course, you know, they dominated.
Well, they've won 2 state championships, I think, in the last 4 years.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about what they've done. They've been 14-1, and they've gone to the finals the last 2 years. They lost 14-13 to a team that the name of the team was Milton High School in Atlanta. Beat this team by 1 point I reckon Atlanta where the Falcons play. The name of the stadium I can't remember.
The new Mercedes Stadium.
Yeah, and they played there the last 2 years for the championship, and they lost the last 2 years. But then, before then, they won, and it's one of the winningest programs in the country. I would say it's probably at least a top 5, if not a top 3 best team in the country. Yeah. I'm going to say maybe in the country. I mean, they were, you know who coaches on this team, Mike? Is our buddy from Enterprise. Did you know that?
Who's that be?
He played at Troy. He played at Troy, and he coached at Enterprise for a long time. And I'll give you his name in a minute. But
was he the linebacker, that Nick Colbert kid?
No, he was offensive lineman.
Sherman Wilkinson.
No, but I remember Sherman. Yeah.
Tim Tucker.
I
remember Tim Tucker. Yeah. But
I think they were both from Enterprise. That's right.
This was Mike. He had a nickname. Oh shoot. But he coaches on that staff. And prior to that...
Who's the head coach now? Did they hire him, got full-time, or do they have an interim head coach?
They hired a new guy, Justin Jones. I want to say Justin Jones is his name. And it looked like a college team. And,
sounds like it.
And they were extremely impressive. Another very impressive team was this team out of... Georgia, Callaway, they dress 110 players.
Well, maybe football's not dead.
And that's right. That's what I'm saying. That 110 players. I know this. It took 3 big buses, charter buses, to pick them up. So did
Hewitt Trussell's a huge school in Birmingham. How do they look compared to Colquitt?
Real good, but I don't know how they would have done against Colquitt, but it would have been a much, much better ball game. Colquitt would have swarmed them. I mean, you couldn't block Colquitt.
Hewitt Trussell had 4 guys off their team last year that went Division I. 2 went to Alabama, 1 went to Auburn, I think 1 went to Mississippi State. Yeah,
exactly. And this team, again, out of Callaway, which is located right there in LaGrange, they dressed, like I said, they dressed 110, and they had some good players. They had a star running back that's already committed to Georgia that didn't play in the game. And then the other team, this team from Atlanta, Columbia, out of Atlanta, had a lineman that was just, out of all the players in the entire 18 teams, he's the most dominant player, and he played for that team that called.
You think there were a lot of college coaches there?
Oh, I don't know how many were there, but they.
That's a great recruiting tool.
He's already a 4-star. He probably should be a 5-star, but he's a 4-star.
All these teams got to dress in Troy's fine new locker room.
Yeah, a lot of them did. Yeah, exactly. There was one kid that was huge, and he played for Meridian. He was 6'8" and weighed 395 pounds.
Oh, that can't be.
And
true.
I watched him. Let me tell you, I watched him, and buddy, every play he just knocked his guy way back in the backfield. I mean, you couldn't block. 2 guys couldn't block him. He was mostly an offensive player, but in offensive, he would cave in that side. I mean, he wasn't a bad ball player. I mean, I've seen a lot of big ones before, but he was so strong and everything.
Aggressive and everything.
And they had 2 guys that weighed over 300 pounds. Well, this guy was 395. And then there was another kid that was a good-looking kid.
6'8", 395 is a lot bigger than Andre Giant, isn't it?
Yeah, and I tell you who was a much, much improved team, that everybody was talking about. Wetumpka beat them on the last play of the game, beat Paul Bryant, but Paul Bryant was much improved.
Good.
Yeah, they're real athletic.
They look a lot better than they've been being. You know, a lot of these kids.
Alabama just signed a Neal kid out of IMG Academy, and he's 6'8", 360. And they said he might start for Alabama this year.
Oh man, isn't that something?
Is he in Tuscaloosa right now?
Yeah, he came in after January.
Is he, what position he play? Defensive line?
No, he's an offensive tackle.
Oh yeah, okay.
Robert E. Lee had a good team, but Hewitt Trussville in the second half just walked away with that game. And Hewitt Trussville also took 3 brand new buses to pick them up. They were an impressive-looking group, Trussville was. And they had two kids. One of them was a defensive back, and one of them was a running back that didn't play that have already committed to Alabama. And
their stadium is beautiful, and their campus is beautiful. They have a brand new school and brand new stadium in Birmingham.
I tell you,
I commend these coaches. You have no reason to play 4-star and 5-star players in spring games this late before the season starts. There's no reason.
Well, let me tell you this.
The spring games were so late in May.
Yeah, let me tell you what I did not like about Colquitt County and Meridian. They did not. They put green jerseys. Colquitt County put green jerseys on their quarterbacks, so you couldn't tackle them. You had to you 2-hand touch them, and it took away from the game. But they still scored 55 points, and then didn't really play but about 3 quarters because they had a running clock after that. But Colquitt County did have 3 quarterbacks that wore green jerseys. So, and I didn't like that part of it because you come all the way over here. You want to see a complete game. It was now the running backs and all that were live. All of that was live, but they 2-hand touched the.
I've heard a proposal for colleges to play real spring games, real opponents for their spring games.
Yeah.
As a moneymaker.
Yeah, it would be a moneymaker, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'd like it.
I can see it maybe in the smaller colleges, but not the SECs and the Power 5. That seemed like that'd be too.
I mean, it'd be an exhibition.
There's getting guys injured before next season.
Let me tell you another team. Of course, Goshen beat Geneva County, and they were impressive in that. And congratulations to Coach Snyder and his team. But the biggest upset of the whole tournament, the whole classic, was Bullock County out of Union Springs had gotten so good. They beat Slocum, That was on Thursday night. So let me tell you, they've got a new coach. You know, they've always had plenty of athletes at Bullock County High School, you know, out of Union Springs. And now those guys are playing football.
That's one coach can turn it around.
That's
you know,
right.
Robert E. Lee they were a powerhouse forever. Then they were awful forever. And then they got the right coach.
That's right.
And they're back.
Getting those players to come out for football. I tell you another good example is Abbeville High School. You know, they were so good for all those years. They had a legendary coach, you know, in basketball, and he wouldn't let his star players play football.
Yeah.
You know, that was the way it was at Charles Henderson, McCracken, and all those guys. They didn't let those guys play football.
Yeah.
You know, some of the good Charles Henderson teams. But
I can think of a couple of Charles Henderson basketball players that if they would have played football would have had a chance in the NFL.
You're right. But back in those,
found out if McCarter coached.
He coached
Scott Cross.
That's right. He coached Scott Cross, and
He was head coach at Charles Henderson High School, and then he went on to be the first head coach ever at Texas Arlington.
yeah. In fact,
Coach Eddie McCarter. He was my quarterback coach on that state championship football team.
That's right. And I didn't know he coached
he went on to be
football.
a Division I head coach, and I guess at one time he's at West Alabama as well. He's been a lot of places.
Yeah.
Nice, fine man.
They all liked him, and in fact, a lot of the assistant coaches knew him too. But Coach Cross not only played for him, he also was one of the ones that came in after McCarter had left. You know.
Can I put in a plug?
Did he include that McCarter coached at Charles Henderson?
Yeah, they knew that.
Okay.
I want to put in a plug for my era when I attended Charles Henderson. Our case for being the best all-around sports program in Charles Henderson history. 1980, when I was a sophomore, we won the state championship.
Yeah, in football, first time ever.
When you had big classifications,
Only
time. Let's see, in baseball, my senior year, skipped forward 2 years when Ed Black was a senior, Kyle Ingalls was a junior. Charles Henderson finished runner-up in the state, lost a heartbreaker by 1 run in the last game.
Yeah.
Had a man on third base that could have won. So that was that close to winning a state championship in baseball, right?
Yeah.
When Eddie McCarter was the coach of the basketball team my senior year, Charles Henderson lost to Eufaula in the regional finals on what would have been a 3-point shot today at the buzzer.
Yeah.
Eufaula beats Charles Henderson. That Eufaula team goes on and coasts to the state championship, wins 3 more. So I guarantee you, if that basketball team would have not lost that game in Eufaula, they would have won the state championship. So you had all 3 major sports in the period of 3 years that really won a state championship or could have won a state championship.
I don't know if it was McCracken. You know, he was that big burly guy. Do you remember him? He used to coach basketball.
He was before
he took a team to I don't know if it was. I reckon it was playing named Tuscaloosa at the time, or they might have been playing in Birmingham. But I want to say maybe Tuscaloosa. They were playing Hayes High School of Birmingham, which was a great basketball school for years and years. They, with 5 seconds to go, Charles Henderson had the ball inbounds. All they had to do was get the ball inbounds, just put it into play. And Hayes intercepted, put it in, and beat them. Charles Henderson was that close to winning.
I think it was 1979, and that was Darren Faison was one of the.
Yeah, that's right.
Sheila's big brother was one of the star players. But that was a heartbreaker.
I want to say that Darren.
That team lost in the semifinals or quarterfinals, and if they would have won that game, they would have won the state championship.
I want to say Darren his brother. I know his brother played on the 258 team. Tim Faison. I know he played. Darren might have been a senior on that team, but I'm not sure.
No, Darren was before Coach Mason.
Yeah,
he played for Coach Bazillia.
All right, okay. But Tim, I think, played on that team.
He was in that era. That's right.
That's right.
Now, Tim was good, but Darren was really...
Oh, yeah. Darren was a great player.
And Darren played at Troy University, too.
I don't know if Darren played when for the three-point shot, too. And, of course, he was really good. Carl Hollis was a great player. And, Felix played on that
Jerry
team.
Richards.
Jerry Richards was a great player.
And then his brother, I think, was Adam Richards that played when I was in high school. Adam was a great player.
Ladies and gentlemen, on a sad note, lost a good friend of mine, Bob McGee, died this weekend. He lived in Jackson, Mississippi, and of course he grew up right here in Troy. He is the son of Robert A. McGee. You remember that had McGee Funeral Home?
We talked about him being the adopted daddy of Bobby Marlowe.
That's right, and exactly right. He left, he's pretty good athlete. Didn't have a lot of speed, but he was a good athlete in all three sports: baseball, basketball, and football. And like you said, went on to Alabama. And when he got there, all the fraternities wanted him because he was Bobby Marlowe's stepbrother, or was adopted. Robert A. and his wife Margaret adopted Bobby Marlowe out of the children's home.
Like when he was like a senior in high school. Junior.
That's right. And of course, he went on to greatness at Alabama. Bobby Marlowe did.
And was the number 10 pick overall in the NFL
and
draft.
I think I wrote a little something on Facebook, and I think I'm correct. Bob was an SAE, wasn't he? Wasn't he an SAE?
I read your Facebook post, and
he wasn't a Sigma Nu. You were Sigma Nu, wasn't you? What were you?
I was Sigma Nu, but my dad was an SAE.
Yeah, that's right.
And my Uncle Bobby was an SAE.
Oh, were they? What happened to you?
Well, my brother Rush pledged Sigma Nu, and then I followed my brother Rush.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of tradition.
The founder of SA, Noble Leslie DeBote, what is he? Isn't he buried in the cemetery behind Brian Denny?
I've always heard he's the founder, and he might be my.
Yeah. Well, now
I think he is the founder of SAE. Well, the SAE was founded at the University of Alabama.
Yeah. All right. What's the
National Fraternity? The National Fraternity was founded there.
Yeah. All right. Down in Gulf Shores, there's some kind of monument or something to either SAE or Sigma Nu down in Gulf Shores.
I didn't know that.
It's something down there. It's at the very end. When you take a right and you go to the old fort there, it's right along there. It's some kind of.
Eddie McCarter is coaching at UNA as an assistant coach now.
Is he at UNA?
He's coached 35 years. At Charles Henderson, he was 188 and 74 over 9 seasons.
Boy, that's good.
His team's posted 3 trips to the state tournament, including a berth in the 1987 championship game. In addition, his teams won 4 South Alabama tournament titles, 4 area championships, 3 South Alabama conference titles,
Boy.
Regional championships for his efforts. McCarter was named South Alabama Coach of the Year 5 times.
Boy, oh boy.
At Arlington, he coached 14 years and won 179 games.
Man, oh man.
And then after that, he coached at West Alabama from 2007 to 2011. Went on to be an assistant coach at UAB, his alma mater, in Birmingham for 2006-2007. Most recently, before UNA, he was at Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
So this guy's had an amazing career.
Isn't that amazing?
Fine guy. He used to call me Snake. He was the.
He did.
Coach Jeffcoat just needed warm bodies on the coaching staff, and Coach McCarter didn't know a dang thing about football, but he went out there and blew the whistle.
But you're right. He was man. They ought to honor him. That was he had a great career, no question about it. And then all these coaches, including Coach Cross, he was very complimentary of
people that played for him. Brag about him. My good friend Scott Rainey was on the basketball team. Chuck Norris was on the basketball team. L.K. Hooton was the player when I played there.
Yeah, I went to school with L.K.'s brother Warren.
L.K. was great.
He went on to play on the national championship team at EUM for Chapman.
That's right.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
L.K. was good.
Yeah.
We need to mention Troy baseball took 2 or 3 against South Alabama, and the last win was the biggest win of them all. By winning that game, Troy went to 16-14 in the conference, and they actually beat out South Alabama for the 6th seed, and that means Troy will actually be in double elimination bracket, while South Alabama will have to play La Monroe in a single elimination game on Tuesday. So that was a huge win for Troy baseball. Now they'll actually have a chance, even if they lose a game, to keep on playing in the tournament in Coastal Carolina, up in Conway, South Carolina. So great job by Coach Smart. Max Newton pitched the game is life. Went 7 innings.
Are you serious?
Really helped Troy this weekend.
Yeah, well, that is great.
Now you just get hot for 1 week. That's all you got to do.
Exactly. Troy's playing well at the right time. And
Troy will play Little Rock at 8 a.m. What a crazy time. 8 a.m.
What, 8 a.m.? That is crazy.
Wednesday.
I'll tell you what, it beats 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock probably as far as the heat.
Gosh, I don't know. I know maybe for the heat, but that's the earliest baseball game I have ever heard of anywhere, Mike.
That's what it's saying.
Shame on you, Mike.
I think it's just maybe, it's just you got so many teams playing that day.
Yeah. Well, they're dancing in the streets of old, back when, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get a little kick out of this, but when Alabama won the national championship in New Orleans in 1992, the great announcer who, to me, was the best ever, maybe, made this, what's his name?
John Forney.
No.
Doug Layton.
No, national announcer.
Oh, Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson.
I'm Jeopardy.
The great Chief. We're gonna get back on this Jeopardy too. The great Keith Jackson says they're starting when the last touchdown. He said, and the game was about over. He said they're starting to dance in the streets of Old Op and in Montgomery Town and at East Avoga where they got the best chicken fried steak I've ever eaten. And then he went to a commercial. That's what he said. And I did a little research and I said, dance in the streets of Old Op and in Montgomery Town and in East Avoga where they got the best chicken fried steak I've ever eaten. You know what happens at East Avoga, don't you?
No, tell me.
That's where the Talladega racetrack is.
Oh.
All right. And he had been there evidently to cover the race. And then all these little houses and these huts are serving food. There are 200,000 people in the area, of Talladega. And he went to a place evidently and ate some chicken fried steak, some fried, country fried steak, what he ate.
Oh,
and it claimed it was the best he ever eaten.
Keith Jackson, boy, watching the college football game.
Nelly, no, this is what he said. Oh, Nelly, they're starting to dance in the streets of Old Op and in Montgomery Town and in East Avoga where they got the best chicken fried steak I've ever eaten. And the star player in that game.
Georgia originally, but his home, he lived afterwards, was in Washington State. Which is kind of strange.
Well, he went to college in Washington, I think.
Are you on him right now? He was a great man too. He did a lot for college football.
He sure did.
But now
he used to be the host of Monday Night Football too.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, when another great announcer was the great Lindsey Nelson. You ever heard that name?
Yeah, I remember Lindsey.
And of course Lindsey Nelson did some big games. But I want to say, the guy that broadcast this game, there was one time in Alabama history, or recent history, let's say since 1950, Alabama, what did Alabama have on their helmets? For all these years, numbers, is that right? Numbers on the helmets? Very few schools have numbers on the helmets. Alabama's one of the very few. Who's another one that does it?
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern does it. And I think, does Penn State do it?
Nope.
Or they don't?
But I think you're right. There's like one or two that do it.
Alabama, one time in their recent history, and I'm going to go back to 1950, Alabama had something other than numbers as a decal. Do you know what that was?
They had a football honor in the 50-year anniversary or 100-year anniversary team or something?
All right, you hit it. It was his 100-year anniversary, and they were playing Ole Miss, and Alabama wore 100 with a football, a thing shaped like a football, and says 100 in it. And this was a team that was the quarterback was Scott Hunter. Scott Hunter was the quarterback, and they played Ole Miss in a game played in Birmingham. It was the first. This is hard to say and hard to believe. But it was the first night telecast ever in college football, and the game was between Alabama and Ole Miss.
Archie Manning's Ole Miss. I read about it.
And Archie Manning in that game, I think his total offense was close to 500 yards.
He lit it up, right? Alabama won, but he lit it up.
That's right. But George Raniger from the state of Mississippi ran a kickoff back 100 yards in that game. That broke it open for Alabama, but Manning was just unstoppable, not only as a thrower, but more as a runner. See, he could run, too. He was a good runner. But that was one of the great college games. And, of course, a lot of people remember it. But the guy that did the play-by-play...
That game was live on television, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But the guy that did the play-by-play did a lot of college football back then. Name him. Do you know? This is Jeopardy. Now, how does that little song go? How did that Jeopardy?
That's why I couldn't play the game. Too much pressure. I'm thinking about the guy that was on CBS for a long time after that.
He became a big announcer for bowling.
Oh, yeah. Chris Schenkel.
Chris Schenkel did the play-by-play on that game. Mike, look up Chris Schenkel. He was a
looking at Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was born the son of a dirt farmer. Jackson was born in Ropeville, Georgia, and grew up on a farm outside of Carrollton near the Alabama state line. He was the only surviving child of a poor family and grew up listening to sports on the radio. After enlisting and serving as a mechanic in the United States Marine Corps, he attended Washington State University in Pullman under the GI Bill.
That's how he got up.
Isn't that amazing? That is amazing that you can get that kind of info.
But now, I didn't know he grew up right on the Alabama border.
That's why everybody, of course, he was out in California for all those years.
But he had the feel for the SEC.
Yeah, exactly. And like when he talked about Coach Bryant, he knew Coach Bryant, evidently gone hunting with Coach Bryant and all that, and they were all friends,
Well, if you read the biography of Coach Bryant by Alan Barrer, it's really good. He makes a big deal out of Roone Arledge, the executive producer of ABC Wide World of Sports, and how all the things he did to grow the sport of college football. And they really did put a lot of influence into it, and they did some innovative things that we could get into. But that game, that nighttime game between Archie Manning and Scott Hunter, was one of the really big ones for ABC corporately.
All right, Scott Hunter graduated the same year I did, in 1965, so it would have been about 67 or 68 when that game was played. But doesn't that surprise you, though, that was the first nationally televised night game ever?
Yeah.
You would have thought they would have done that before then.
Well, I think I'm thinking about what Roone Arledge did. They said one thing he did is he found the prettiest girls in the bleachers and told his camera people to shoot her, and then he had a lot of shots of the cheerleaders, of course, and then instant replay. But it was things just besides just the play on the field, and a lot of different camera angles that had never been used before.
Yeah, exactly. And boy, in the atmosphere, I can hear John Forney right now. And the Alabama partisan across the way is going wild. And of course, Coach Bryant, and it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Tuscaloosa. He is hit and knocked down by Bill Rice at the Alabama 14-yard line. Bill's from Troy. In fact, I saw Bill, Daddy, at the game Saturday. And then he's opening up those potato chips, and he's got that big Coke. He said, good lick by Bill. Bill's from out here, Troy, and I saw his mom and daddy at the game.
When Dad played...
Did that make you want to cry?
I think
because Coach Bryant made it a family thing,
That was one of the keys to his success, is mentioning those hometowns and the mamas and the daddies.
Yeah, the mamas and the daddies, and Coach Hennessy and all those coaches, and
it's amazing to see all the color guys that Keith Jackson worked with. He started off with a guy named Jackie Jensen.
Jackie Jensen was the right fielder for the Boston Red Sox. Jackie Jensen was an All-American at California. Did you know that?
And then he worked with Lee Grosscup.
You could be on Jeopardy on that. You would run the sports
center. Then he worked with Bud Wilkinson for 6 years. years.
That's right. Grosscup was a quarterback, and Bud Wilkinson was a great analyst. Wilkinson, he won, 48 straight games or something like that. Check on Bud Wilkinson's.
And then Eric Parsegan, after that, he worked with him for 5 years.
Yeah.
Frank Broles, he worked with for 7 years.
And Broles was the best ever.
I think he was too.
He was a king.
He worked with Lynn Swan for 2 years. Tim Brand, he worked with for 3 years. Bob Greasy, he worked with for 12 years. And then at the end, he worked with Dan Fouts for 3 years.
Yeah.
So those were his color guys doing college football.
Yeah, he was a great one.
Greasy didn't work for me. He didn't fit college football in my opinion.
Well, that's right.
But Frank Broles, they play back a lot of those games on the ESPN Classic, and I've watched a lot of them. And Keith and Frank Broles were just perfect.
Of course, he was a great coach at Arkansas, and a lot like Bear Bryant. A lot of people, of course, Coach Bryant being from Fordyce, Arkansas. I'm sure some of those folks from Arkansas claimed him. You know what I mean? And of course, when Bill Rice, your daddy, when I want to ask you a little trivia question here, when your daddy's Crimson Tide of Alabama played for the national championship in 1961, they played in New Orleans, and there's a great tailback at Alabama, and one of the greatest wide receivers that ever lived that played at Arkansas. Name both of them.
Well, who is Lance Allworth on the?
Who was Lance Allworth, and what was his nickname?
When
Mike,
you tell me,
he was one of the fastest. Back then. You ran a 100-yard dash.
He's an NFL Hall of Famer.
He ran a 9.3 100-yard dash. He was real fast. But what was his nickname, Mike? Do you know?
I went alive.
What? You weren't alive?
Well, that doesn't count. I wasn't alive either.
He wasn't alive either, but this was Alabama's first national championship under Coach Bryant.
He's in the NFL Hall of Fame.
His nickname was Bambi. They called him, he was like a deer. They nicknamed him Bambi because he ran like a deer.
You know who played for Arkansas 3 years later when they won the national championship?
Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson.
That's right.
Jimmy
they
Johnson
were freshmen on that team that lost to Alabama.
Broyles had great teams at Arkansas. And,
it's crazy to think that Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson were both offensive linemen.
Yeah. All right, now who was a great tailback at Alabama that tore his knee up?
Mike Frocky.
Mike Frocky. Where was he from?
Up north somewhere.
No.
Tennessee.
Yep.
He was?
From Memphis. I think Mike Frocky was from Memphis, I want to say. But he was
I think he's one of the great, my favorite what might have been stories at Alabama is still Kerry Good. I mean, I've watched clips of him and remember
against Boston College.
He looked like Gale Sayers.
Ran that kick back. You remember that? Ran that kick back, then got towards knee up.
He was averaging 10 yards a carry, had about 180 yards rushing in the first half, ran back a kickoff for a touchdown. This after his freshman year where he ran for 900 yards and averaged 6 or 7 yards a carry.
And that game was on national TV. Back
and he blew out his knee when Alabama was leading by about 2 touchdowns. Then Doug Flutie brought him back. But I always wondered what would have happened to that season and Kerry Good if he had not blown out that knee.
Well,
Doug Flutie and Kyler Murray stood next to each other. Who would be taller?
Oh, gosh. Flutie was 5'7",
Probably Kyler.
5'8".
Well, I don't know.
Flutie was 5'9". They're saying Murray's 5'10", but he sure doesn't look like he's 5'10". He looks like he's about 5'8", 5'9".
Why was that a big deal? Height a big deal? Not a big deal now, and it was a huge deal with Flutie. I don't get it.
The greatest, one of the greatest pro football quarterbacks of all time played for the Washington Redskins, and his number was 8. I want to say his number was 8 or 16. 8. And his name was Little Eddie LeBaron. And he was a great pro quarterback, and he won, I think, 4.
Well, check that, Michael. I think you're exactly right. I mean, what is the difference between Doug Flutie and this Kyler Murray?
I guess we'll find out real quick.
But let me just say this about Doug Flutie. His highlight film of that last second Hail Mary pass is one of the most watched playbacks or plays.
Brent Busberger made the call.
In college football history.
I watched it live.
You remember that last play of the game? He threw that high, and his roommate is the one that made the catch. and for some reason, his roommate was behind everybody else. Everybody else was clogged
They
up.
probably thought the guy can't throw it that far.
That's
He
right.
threw it 64 yards.
He sure did.
You find
And Fluty's 5'10".
Flutie, oh yeah. So Flutie won. He was tall
Kyler
compared to the
Murray?
rest of them.
They're saying Kyler Murray's 5'10".
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, Doug Flutie had to play in the Canadian Football League most of his career, and his.
I tell you what, he was pretty good when he came out and played for the Bills. I remember watching a lot of those games. He was fun to watch.
No question about it.
To answer my own question,
Yeah, he won so many games for the Bills. They came out with Flutie flakes.
Yeah. Mike, I'm gonna put you on hold and try to bring you on in a minute. Just call us back if we need to. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, it's Will Matthews.
Will Matthews, how you doing, buddy? I noticed you're growing a beard, man. I saw you. You look good, man.
Yep. I'm calling you this morning from Bonifay, Florida.
But listen. I don't know where Bonifay is, but I know where Bonifay is. It's Bonifay, isn't it? It's not Bonifay, isn't it? It's Bonifay.
Yeah. I'm headed to my office for lunch.
You must have spent the night at the beach last night.
I did. I spent 2 nights down there.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, did you have a good weekend? And tell us about the golf tournament.
Well, I predicted Kepka would win and Tiger would miss the cut.
You
that
did.
was my 2 predictions. And they were both correct.
Yeah. And but I tell you what, it came down, and people are saying, "Oh, he choked."
I don't think
Well, he might have choked, but he didn't choke at the end. When he had to make it, he did.
Well, he finished about 3 or 4 over par. That wasn't bad.
If Dustin Johnson doesn't bogey 16 and 17, we're looking at a playoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, of course, they're making this guy out to be the greatest of all time, almost in a lot of ways. They think he's a can't miss greatness, And of course, out of all those big, strong guys, he's bigger and stronger than everybody else. It looks like.
Well, he hung on, but he started slipping.
All right, he was hitting his drive around 330. So most everything he hit into the green was probably from an 8-iron to a sand wedge, wouldn't you say? He didn't use any other club other than his driver and an 8-iron to a sand wedge, wouldn't you say?
And he finally started missing fairways, and that's what, if you miss fairways on that golf course, you can't play it.
But again, something that people don't think about was how you got to be very strong to get it out of that rough, and he was very strong to get it out of that rough, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's like a football player.
Yeah, really. He's like a linebacker, and, of course, he does that 225 15 times,
But I want to get back to what you said about him not choking. There were a lot of people that Sunday that shot 78, 77, 79, and his playing partner shot at 81.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, I think he ended up shooting 4 over par.
Yeah.
He just got 4 bogeys in a row. That'll hurt you. While Dustin Johnson was making a birdie or 2.
The tournament really was over after 10 holes. He was 1 under par after 10 holes. So he was still way, way ahead. All he had to do was avoid double bogeys coming in, and he did. He didn't have any double bogeys.
And he had one clutch putt, if I remember, that about a 7 or 8 footer to save him from making a double bogey. That was a big putt.
Right. That was a big putt. And, but the guy can play, and he's young now. He's in his 20s. He's very young.
No question.
He's going to be around a
He's
while.
29 years old.
The knock on him is that he doesn't do this in other tournaments, but, man, when it comes to the majors, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, last week he shot 20 under par in the tournament, so that's pretty good.
All right, Copa.
He didn't win.
Copa, this is probably the biggest purse.
Kepka.
He won $1.98 million, and then Johnson right behind him won $1.188 million. That's pretty good. And Speed, which Speed looks like a little boy out there now compared to these guys. Speed is that right, Will?
Well, when Speed came out, they said, well, he's going to be the next Tiger Woods. Well, he's cooled off, and Rory the same way. He's going to be the next Tiger Woods.
You know, there was a guy in the top 10 that played golf at Jacksonville State. I want to say it's this Wallace kid from England that played at Jacksonville State. I want to say
he's from England and a good player.
I think he played at Jacksonville State.
Might be.
What I heard. Kuchar, old Matt ended up being in the top 7, so he took home $265,000. Talking to Will Matthews, ladies and gentlemen, our golf analyst.
Let me ask Will a quick golf question. If you seem like a golf expert, Will. This is Bill Rice.
Yeah.
Is there a standard fee or percentage that the caddies get? Or do they get paid a set salary, or do they get a certain percentage of their golfers' winnings?
Yeah, it used to be, and this is pretty standard. I've got a couple of friends that are on the tour now and a couple that used to play. If you win the tournament, if you're a winner, the caddy's going to get 10%.
Whew.
So just think about that. That's $200,000.
Is that automatic? I mean, is that a rule? Or, I mean, is that way it has to be?
Unwritten rule, maybe.
That's a rule of thumb that they get 10% on a win. On a top 10, they get 7.5%.
Yeah.
Well,
On the top 25, they get 5%. And then most of them will pay them like something a week, as a draw. They get a weekly check as a draw.
So the top caddies for the top players can do very, very well.
No question about it.
Yeah. Y'all, excuse me for a second. I'm getting a cup of coffee.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to turn our attention to softball, and I want you to hear this. Of course, in 4A, we had Vicksburg playing Pisgah for the state championship in girls softball. Pisgah was 47-10. Vicksburg was 47-15. Pisgah won the best 2 out of 3 to win the state championship, but Vicksburg from out here in Dothan was runner-up playing outstanding softball. In Class 2A, you had G.W. Long. G.W. Long beat Hatton 44-17 for the state championship. Long finishes 53-3. So Long won championships in softball and baseball. So congratulations to Titletown. It was their 16th state championship in baseball, which is more than anybody in history. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we found another guru team because, Brantley, Titletown, Brantley played for the championship down the stretch, and the team they had to beat was Mars Hill. Brantley beat Belgreen 9-5 to make it into the championship round, and then Brantley beat Spring Garden 12-7, and then during the championship, best 2 out of 3. Thank you, sir. Best 2 out of 3. Mars Hill beat Brantley 7-6 and eliminated them, and Mars Hill won the state championship. Mars Hill is the team that won the championship in baseball too, I want to say.
Well, I hate that for the girls in Brantley, but
That's
still,
right.
that's a great season.
But finally, Brantley
about some of the best-known high schools that are named after a person, such as Charles Henderson,
That's
such
right.
as Carroll High School, and then in a couple of sentences tell who that person was,
now,
and so everybody in the state can know who T.R. Miller was.
That's right. T.R. Miller was a big, of course, he a big land guy that they in the timber business down in Bruton, and they had the T.R. Miller.
And it would also
company.
be interesting to learn how many schools are named for people.
Yeah.
Public, you know.
Oh yeah,
instead of
that would
the
be
town.
something. Robert E. Lee was a general in the Confederate Army.
Local people, not.
Sidney
Yeah,
Lanier was a great poet.
that's right. Local people.
Will
not,
Matthews was a great lawyer. Will Matthews. I wanted to mention something that's happening tonight is the Tip Collie Awards, and this has been going on for a while now, and we're excited to be a part of that, and that will be taped tonight from the sports arena at the Troy Recreation Department, their auditorium there.
I used to work on that. Well, last time I lived in Troy 13 years ago. I was in the Civitan Club, and one year I served as president.
That's right.
And the Civitan Club started that.
No question about it.
It was. I'm glad to see it's still going on.
Yeah, and in the paper today, and of course, the Messenger don't live in Troy without it. And of course, I need to look at it every day, but it's got a look at these people that are in the running for that wonderful event, which is named after the great J.O. Tip Collie.
So it's the all-around Christian
Athlete
leadership.
Award, yeah. And
Quite an honor just to be nominated for that.
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to take a short break. Will hang with us, if you will, and we'll be right back.
Are you a driver trainee just finishing school and want to drive an automatic truck? Then call Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Right, Fuzzy? We have automatic trucks. That's right. And we will reimburse you for your driver training. No pets? Not at Wiley Sanders Truck Line. At Wiley Sanders Truck Line, we thought of everything. We thought of the kennel for your fuzzy friend. Right, Fuzzy? Tell them about it. Wiley Sanders Truck Line, Troy, Alabama. Come drive for the best today. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Wiley Sanders Truck Line. Tell them, Fuzzy.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
Hey folks, are you tired of spending hard-earned money on a gas grill only to have it burn up in less than 2 years, not to mention burning your food? Here at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, we carry the Holland Grill line. They've been around since 1988, and there are people right here in Troy that have had theirs for over 20 years. These grills are guaranteed not to flare up. You can grill, steam, or smoke on your new Holland Grill today. Come see us at Southern Grill and Patio in Troy, Alabama, inside Town and Country Flooring Center.
This is Bobby Flay.
I'm coming for you, Bobby.
They say he's never had to eat his words. But if he did, they'd be delicious. They say the word flavor was named after him. They say he can make an omelet without breaking an egg.
We were hoping for that.
They say you can beat Bobby Flay. What do they know? Beat Bobby Flay, Thursday night at 10 on Food Network.
Back to our show, Mike Amos along with Bill Rice Jr. and our good friend Will Matthews. Mike Amos, young Mike Amos, calling in from Great Beach this morning, and we expect
got 2 people at the
him to come back. But you know, a lot of this is funny. Bill Rice did a story on this Jeopardy deal that's going on, and it had 100,000 hits.
Well, the one site, Zero Hedge, they count them so you can see. So the last I saw, it had 82,000 readers. And then the American Conservative, it doesn't tell you how many readers read the story, but it ranks the top read stories. And mine was number 2 for most of the week.
Well, let me ask this now. Is this all on the internet or what?
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal? And how do you get it? Put it on there? How do you put some on the internet?
I sent them an email and said, hey, I've got a story idea. Would y'all be interested if I wrote a story on this? And they say, yeah, send it on. They don't guarantee you that they'll run it, but if it's good and they like it, they'll. So I've had some that they didn't run, and then I've had several that they.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Let me say something. There is a town in the state of Alabama that is the only. Like there's a lot of Troys out there. Troy, Michigan, Troy, New York. Yeah, but there's one town in the state of Alabama. There's only one name of that town. It has one name, and that's nationwide. Do you know what town that is?
So one city name that you won't find anywhere else in America.
You won't find out anywhere else in America.
Surely there's some of these funny city names that we have in Alabama. Surely some of them are unique.
All right, you want me to answer for you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say slap out.
No, not slap out. How about Tuscaloosa?
Oh.
Cause this is Tuscaloosa, the Alabama partisan across the way. He is hit and knocked down by Bill Rice Jr. at the Alabama 14-yard line. Tuscaloosa is the only name, has one name in this, after one.
How many
city.
Auburns are there?
I don't know, a bunch of them. Bunch of Auburns. You know, you got Auburn, New York is one big one. And but Tuscaloosa is the only, there's only one Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I know I think I counted it up one time. I think there's about 20 Troys, aren't there? And then there's a ton of Pike counties. I think we're all named.
You know, there's a lot. There's some Andalusias. There's some Eufalas out there, and you would think
Ozark. Who is Ozark named for? The mount.
Ozark. Let me tell you how Ozark got its name, Will, and you might have been a part of this. You know, back in the early settlers' days, you know, they went. Troy used to be called Deer Stand Hill. You know, that was their first name. But as the wagon train they were taking a wagon train through South Alabama, south of Troy. They stopped and camped out, and they during the night, one of the little boys in the group wandered off, and they didn't know what to do. But his name was Zark. His name was Zark, and they went through the woods saying, "Oh Zark, oh Zark."
Boom.
That's how your town got his name. Isn't that a shame, Will?
I've heard that before.
Ozark.
There's a controversy on how Troy got his name.
Ozark was Merrick's Wood Shop. Was the original name of Ozark.
Yeah.
Merrick's Wood Shop?
Isn't that amazing?
Merrick's Wood Shop.
That's amazing.
Yep.
You know, there are a lot of names. You know, each town has some old families. You know, like Troy would have the Murphys and the Hendersons and the Woolafords. I don't know if they're a real old group, but the Hendersons and the Murphys were, and the Chapmans is a big family. Down in Goshen, you've got those. What are those? All those names down there. In Goshen.
Sanders.
Yeah, a bunch of Sanders and a bunch of Wilkes. But now, Will, who would be now in Ozark? You would have the
old Ozark families.
A lot of the old families are gone. I mean, the Dowlings and
the Dowlings. Now, my good friend Richard Dowling lives in Enterprise. You mean the Dowlings actually came from Ozark?
Yes, and he's kin to.
Yeah, well, I tell you, of course, the Carrolls is a big name in Ozark. Carroll, Carroll High School, Carroll Hardware, Carroll Food, what I'm saying. Who's some other big Ozark names? Big families.
It sounds like we lost Will.
Yeah, we lost Will. Will's name, but you were a Carroll, weren't you, Will? Weren't you in the Carroll family? Hello.
He must be in a bad cell.
Or he's ordering something from McDonald's or whatever. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Have Have you seen an increase in your insurance premiums or significant change in your insurance coverage? Let Sandbeck Insurance offer you a better plan to suit your business or personal needs. Sandbeck Insurance offers many lines of insurance, whether it's home, farm, or auto insurance, work comp, business, or health and life policies. Sandbeck is here for you. Call or visit our Troy, Enterprise, or Andalusia office today. Sandbeck Insurance, where we take pride in taking care of your insurance needs.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
In a land of luxury lived a dashing man who scoured the land looking for lottery dream homes so winners could live fabulously ever after.
All new My Lottery Dream Home, Friday night at 9 on HGTV.
I love my job. We get to help people who are having the worst day of their life.
You just got to be ready for whatever hits.
She wasn't breathing. She was almost dead.
Stay still there. Stay still. It's fine.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying it. Of course, brought to you by Jean's Flowers on South Brundage Street in Troy. They've got all kinds of beautiful flowers. Call them, and they can send flowers all over the country. Of course, the McGee funeral is, we don't actually have the, because it's Monday, there's no paper, but the McGee funeral is in Jackson today, and I don't have the...
Well, last time I was on the show, we had two sad losses. We mentioned Mrs. Reeves and Mr. Crow.
That's right. No question about it. Bebe Crow and Miss Sally. And want to mention again that Will Reeves won the Johnny Teal Award, which is one of the prestigious awards given away
you
each
present
year.
it, don't you?
That's right. And then, of course, the girl that won was our great basketball player, and she Maury Davenport, and she was not there. She was she was somewhere playing AAU ball, I think. And so she wasn't there, but
I think she's
Cole Coppage won the first ever Sonny Williford Award. So Cole Coppage, congratulations to you.
Oh, good.
And of course now there is going to be a special event. Either I want to say it's going to be tomorrow night from the square in downtown Troy as we celebrate the great state championship baseball team at Pike Liberal Arts. So that's going to be a big to-do. I'm thinking it's going to be tomorrow night. Now tonight, of course, the most prestigious award given any student during the year to me is the Chip Colley Award.
And that's countywide.
And that's countywide. All the
that's another unique thing about it is it's all the county high schools.
Yeah, exactly right. Good morning. You're on today in L.A. How you doing? We were wondering about you. You must have had a baby problem, did you?
No, I'm actually gotta go see your wife down at.
All right. Well, let me ask this: how pretty is it down there right now? Of course, you're gonna have a lot of people heading down there by the end of the week.
Absolutely gorgeous right now. I mean, you know, where we are in Great Beach, we have the benefit of having the ocean water, the Gulf of Mexico, flow into the lake. So it's beautiful right now. The water's just crystal clear and gorgeous. I took my wife and our mother-in-law down from Birmingham, and we went to the beach Saturday morning with the girls, and I probably caught 5 or 6 blue crab that were keepers.
Yeah.
Just in that crystal clear water, and absolutely gorgeous. A little warm right now. I think I just heard on the radio out of Dothan that highs next week could be like 96, 97.
All right. Now, this is what you call Beach Week, isn't it? And this, most of the graduations will be this
I think
weekend.
Beach Week is Memorial Day weekend, yeah.
All right, and Memorial Day weekend will be Monday, so that starts Beach Week, and you remember that's when everybody goes down for at least a week.
Oh, one of my happiest times were at Beach Week. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for letting me go.
I don't know how many times during Beach Week I'd be in high school, and we'd be driving up and down the strip on Panama City Beach, and I'd be driving, or a buddy of mine would be driving. The next thing we know, we'd see a group. We just jump out of the car and go jump in the car with them, and then back up with our buddies the rest of the night.
You know what, I can remember what was happening when Beach Week my senior year. Alabama was playing in the College World Series when Dave Magadan was.
That's right.
And they almost won the national championship. They lost to Roger Clemens' Texas team.
That's right.
But I can remember watching that game on some little Roach Motel that was, cheapest motel in Panama City.
Yeah.
With about 10 other guys that were sleeping in.
Wasn't Bobby Pierce on those teams? Troy's coach?
I think he was. He was. I don't know for a fact that he was on there, but that was about his day.
He played in the early '80s.
I think he and Magadan were good friends. Bobby Pierce held the.
Alabama baseball is falling off the face of the earth. They had 3 straight, I guess, last place finishes in the SEC in baseball.
And basketball, too. The moral of that, Michael, is that don't you take these good seasons for granted, because before you know it, it'll be 20, 25 years before you were competing.
I think Alabama's playing well at the right time, Mike. They're going to be pretty good, I think, down the stretch. And of course,
Alabama baseball?
Yeah, are they playing a lot better?
No, they're done.
Oh, are they? They made the tournament?
That's what I'm saying. They've had the worst record in the SEC in baseball 3 straight years.
I didn't realize that.
Their conference record was 7-23.
Oh, me. Oh, me. Is this guy going to be able to hold on, you reckon?
The ladies softball team is going to their 15th straight regional. They swept the regional up in Tuscaloosa and will play, I think, Texas in the Super Regional in Tuscaloosa.
In fact, they beat Arizona State this weekend, which
I thought they were playing again today, but they won it yesterday.
Yeah, they know Alabama won 3 in a row. So they're done.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no question about it.
They beat Alabama State, then they beat Arizona State twice.
Mm-hmm. If you haven't bought your tickets to the Tip Collie Awards, that is a wonderful award. And I was looking.
Who's the speaker?
Well, I apologize. I should know, but I don't. I was looking through here, and somebody told me that.
You know who the speaker was when I was president of the Civitan Club? A guy named Bob Kreider.
I remember Bob
Kreider. KT Cole put me up in touch with, because he was a buddy and client of KT's, but he was a great offensive lineman at Alabama after John Hanna.
I have a picture
and
of
then he played for the Seattle Seahawks for many years, and he's still in Seattle. And he's
within the coffee business out there.
Doing real well.
No question about it. A salute also this week, ladies and gentlemen, to the campus police department. And, at one time I can remember Johnny McVeigh's daddy was one of the only policemen at Troy. This was in 65, 66. Mr. McVeigh, he's the one that gave all those parking tickets away. But now, led by John Michael McCall, they've got, now 4, they've got 10, they've got 16, they got 19 officers now. Isn't that something?
That's big. The Troy University Police Department is probably bigger than the City of Troy Police Department was when you were growing up.
But now the City of Troy is no telling how many they've got. It's one of the best police departments in the country. We're very, very pleased to be.
Yeah, we need to mention up in Auburn, there was a horrible shooting. 3 police officers were shot last night.
In Auburn?
Yeah, one was killed.
Oh my God!
No.
2 more in the hospital. So definitely our thoughts and prayers.
And that was actually in Auburn. It was not a county incident. It was a city incident.
They said Auburn police officers. You can read about it on AL.com.
Boy, I hate that. Man, oh man.
We do have a great.
Went to a domestic disturbance, and one officer was killed. 2 were injured. One's critical, and then the shooter is still on the loose.
Oh told me.
That's what the police officers, the most dangerous thing they do, I think, is to go into those domestic.
Well, and then another thing, in the middle of the night, you're on a lonesome road and you pull a guy over, it's awfully tough to walk to that window because you don't know what's waiting you at that window.
That's right.
He could have a gun waiting to just.
He can be desperate.
Exactly right. So we take for granted our police departments and our sheriff's departments and our campus police and all that. They put their lives on the line almost every night.
Yeah,
so,
it's breaking news, so it's on AL.com if anybody wants to keep up with it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, remember the Pike Liberal Arts event. I've got to get that, nail that down. I think it's tomorrow night on the square, and where they honor the Pike Liberal Arts baseball team. They won their second consecutive Class 3A championship.
I watched some of the playback again after it was over.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mike, you were able to watch some of that football games. Did you get it pretty clear down there?
Yeah, it was clear. I mean, I was just watching it on Facebook.
Mike, the team from Colbert County.
I don't know how you can call that many games. I can't imagine all the names you're having to call out.
Well, that's, I've had a pretty good experience doing it. I've done it a long time. But Colquitt County, Mike, is the best high school team I've ever seen. I mean, they were awesome. I mean, they dominated. They were.
Yeah, I just made it to Laguna Beach, and it's a lake down here, so it's beautiful.
I bet.
What do you think the best high school team in Alabama history is? I read a story a couple weeks ago that somebody said that a Viger team with the Troy quarterback, Kevin, and then Electron.
Oh, yeah.
So they had Kelvin Simmons and Electron Williams.
And then about 8 other Division I players. They just beat everybody by 50 points that season.
That team out of now they don't have near the speed and athletics.
Some of those Robert E. Lee teams with Fred Beasley were real good.
Yeah, but we're talking about a lot of speed and a lot of strength now in these programs. Some of those Hoover teams were probably great. How about the team that Johnny Musso and the Rutledge boys played for? That was one of the better teams back in the 60s, I would say, or the 70s.
Do you remember when that high school game was played between Jeff Rutledge's high school team and Tony Nathan's high school team?
That's right. Woodlawn against
50,000 people at Legion Field at a high school football game.
Woodlawn against Banks High School, and let me tell you what they did. They made a bad mistake. They only opened 2 gates, and there were people that didn't even get into the game until the second half. And it was a great game. I think Banks ended up beating them because they had all those great players, the Rutledges, and Musso had already graduated. But those were some great teams. But some of these teams now that are so big and strong and been in these weight programs all these years, I mean, all the weights and the conditioning and the strength and the size and the speed is a lot different than it was in the 60s.
Well, 70s. I mean, I'm still trying to get over what you just said earlier in the show, that you saw a high school football player that was 6'8", 395
That's right. And the thing about it, I watched him, and he could move fairly good. He was real strong. He could open up a hole, I'm sure. And but again, it turned out to be a very successful weekend.
Thanks to Troy Cable for
Troy Cable Spring Football Classic, the 4th, of course, Steve Camp and Scott Westfall, who just worked tirelessly on this program. And Scott, we probably don't tell you how much we appreciate you enough. And of course,
brought thousands of people to Troy.
We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and you'll be with us bright and early in the morning for Today in LA. See you then.